Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter.
Welcome to this episode of the CPG Guys podcast. I'm your co-host, and when I'm not podcasting, I'm busy launching my new supplements brand, Zen Fuel. Zen Fuel is made for you, whether it's for better sleep, for better energy, all-day sustain, yes, Zen Vigor, or stress and anxiety relief. To visit us on www.zenfuel.com. That's ZENFUEL.com. And of course, this is October 2020, and we are in the final episode of our Female Leaders series for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, where my co-host and I are donating $1 a download for every episode, up to $250 an episode for downloads that you folks have made for each podcast. So thank you for supporting us in this journey and making sure Peter and I empty out our pocketbooks and do donate to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. A reminder that all our content can be found on the CPGGuys.com. We have crossed over 1,150 organic subscribers on LinkedIn. We can't thank you enough for the love you show us and for liking, following, and being with us on this journey of transformation of the retail and CPG industry. And a simple request that Peter and I always make while you're there, please do take a moment to go to our Apple CPG podcast, which can be found on tinyurl.com/Apple CPG podcast, and do leave us a ratings and review. When you do that, we get to know what you want to hear from us, and we make sure we deliver quantity and quality of content that's valuable for you. Speaking of which, this is also the Profit Series month, something that you asked for via vote. And this Friday, we will be launching episode number 5, the last in our series of Profit Series. We have covered everything from D2C to media to supply chain, and we will wrap it up this week with episode number 5. So do check in. Now let's give a warm welcome to our co-host, the man, the legend of CRM, loyalty, data, the man who actually represents you, the consumer, and VP of Power Reviews, Mr. Peter Bond. Welcome.
Sri, you're the butter to my popcorn, the waffles to my fried chicken, and the cream cheese to my gravlax. We go together. We're having fun doing this. It's exciting to be here. And for people who are watching on our YouTube channel, the video, they're going to see we've got a little bit of a fashion coordination going on today. Sri, what's that all about?
I wonder, Peter, maybe there's something to do with our guest today. Could it be?
It might be. And we might be talking about your favorite topic today, Sri.
Absolutely. So without further ado, welcome to a personal friend, one that we've broken bread with, Miss Whitney Cooper from the world's most elite retailer, Walmart. Welcome to the show. For our listeners, please do tell us what you do for Walmart.
Hi, everybody. Super excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for the invite. So again, Whitney Cooper. I am the director of Omnichannel Transformation and Acceleration at Walmart, headquartered down here in Bentonville.
Thank you so much, Whitney. We can't wait to begin out here. So let's jump right to it and go right to question 1 for you, Whitney. Walmart has been in the news all year long. And of course, we have noticed in the last 30 days an announcement that household penetration for the newly released Walmart Plus, which is a loyalty play, clearly somewhat similar to Amazon Prime, has crossed 11% household penetration. Given that it's happening so fast and Walmart is rapidly transforming from brick and mortar to omnichannel, what's your perspective on this whole omnichannel transformation as it comes to Walmart?
What an exciting time to be in retail, man. It's incredible. It's such a fun ride. I will tell you, Walmart Plus has been and continues to be and will continue to be revolutionary for not just our company and the way that we're thinking about customer experience, but for our customers. We waited, all of our competitors were putting things out in the market. And as you guys know, we are maniacal about customer service. And so making sure that customer experience was just, unprecedented. And to be able to create something that was truly, truly adding value to people's lives, I think is going to be things that, is one of those things that people are going to write case studies about in 20 years about what it did for our company. So it's a very exciting thing to be a part of. The team that is running Walmart Plus is an incredible cross-functional team under Janie Whiteside. And I'm very excited that Walmart Media Group is a huge part of that team. So it's an exciting thing to be a part of.
Whitney, so great to have you join us today. I'm one of those reported 11% of households that have subscribed to Walmart Plus, and I am availing myself of it on a weekly basis. So thank you. I love your title, Omnichannel Transformation and Acceleration. That's a lot of big words there. Can you explain what your responsibilities are and what is a day in the life of Whitney like? What are you really focused on doing to make this a successful engagement for you and for your organization?
Awesome. Great question. I get this question a lot. Everyone's just like, what exactly do you do all day? So as you are aware, we over the summer made an historical move to bring our merchandising organization into one family unit. So now instead of having two different teams, having e-commerce and then stores merchants, we are now have created an Omni merchandising organization. One of the biggest things that has become very apparent over the last couple of years as, the board, the Walmart leadership team and Doug decided to create a world-class ads organization by bringing in, and creating Walmart Media Group as an entity. One of the things that when I was on the supplier side that became very, very evident is that there was a disconnect in the world-class ads business and what merchandising was doing. And, it's one of those things where in order for us to truly build amazing customer experiences, in order for us to, be a huge value to our advertiser partners, we have to create the synergy between those two teams, right? And that's what I do all day. So I sit down in Bentonville, nestled in between and in the connective tissue between merchandising, marketing, WMG, and cross-functional partners across the org to create this one Walmart framework of operating. So it's very much, my role is so much, it's business strategy, it's also operations, also change management. There's so much of it that is just strategic, but also, we have to test all this stuff. And because of, this comes into the acceleration part, because of how fast this is all moving, it's essential that we, build the strategy, get in, test it with merchants, test it with our Walmart Media Group leaders, test it with marketing leadership. And if it doesn't work, it's okay to fail. We need to fail to get better. So it's like very agile, very quick pivots, just getting us to a new way of really thinking about how we're working with our supplier partners.
Speaking of agility, you mentioned WMG, aka the Walmart Media Group, which itself has gone through quite a positive transformation in the last year or so. And it's now a offering out there for brands to take up and actually pursue, whether it's SEM or other formats of offsite advertising. So what's going on with WMG? What's the latest and what can one expect here as the partnerships begin to grow?
So here's what I will say. When we have best in class leadership team that is running WMG. We have the smartest people across the industry. Walmart's done an incredible job, and hats off to Janie for being very intentional about the team she brought in and the different skill sets. And it really is a powerhouse team. I will tell you, recently we've had a leadership change and we are now being led by Rich Learfield, who came over from marketing, 25-year plus veteran, incredible media acumen, and is a practitioner. So he really, really understands. He wears his supplier hat a lot. I think you're going to see just an accelerated value proposition and what we're bringing to our supplier partners when it comes to talking to the Walmart customer.
Wow, that's great. So you just mentioned the new leadership structure and the ability to help brands connect to Walmart shoppers in so many different ways. How's the brand response been to this? Are they understanding that this is an enormous media moment, not only with the organizational structure, but obviously what's going on with this pandemic and the fact that we've seen e-commerce grow at such a massive rate? Are the brands being very responsive to this?
So I will tell you, brands are responding really, really well to this because at the end of the day, everybody wants, and most of the time needs, but really truly wants to win with Walmart. I think that we've had some amazing brand partners early on at the beginning of when this was all being formed and even before COVID that they knew. I mean, at the end of the day, when if you look at history, when Walmart goes all in on something, they really go all in, and we are going all in when it comes to building a world-class ads organization. We brought this team in-house. We've hired the best people across the industry. We are really focused on creating value and creating, good ads that customers actually want to engage with and that have good ROI. And I will tell you, brands are excited to work with us. And we've had some, I'm going to say alpha partners that have just from the very beginning have really leaned in and have helped us build out some of these capabilities through beta testing and alpha testing. And I will say that brands are believing in what we're doing, and it's starting to pay off for them when you look at sales.
That's good to hear, Whitney. That's some of the best news brands can possibly hear from their retail partners. So looking through your career personal profile, you started your career in agencies, evolved to brands, and now you're with the world's most elite retailer, which means technically you have completed the spectrum of being called a veteran in consumer goods, even though I don't know if that applies, but you are an expert in consumer goods as a result. You've earned the credential, but all three are not exactly the same. Agencies are service providers, brands are manufacturers, and then retail is really lower funnel to close the deal with the shopper. What's been different in each of these? What have you learned from each of these, and how are you bringing it together now in possibly the most important aspect of consumer goods, which is the lower funnel activity of closing the deal with the consumer and the shopper?
So I'm gonna walk you through this because it's actually a pretty funny full circle story. I will tell you, it was always my intention. It was actually always my intention, starting at age about 21. Growing up, I was going to be a psychiatrist. I was obsessed with psychology. I was going to go to med school. I had this whole plan. I was going to be a physician. And then I got into my undergrad, and I'm just like, man, I'm going to have to write prescriptions all day. I don't want to do this. And I started thinking about how I could really take my love of psychology and human behavior and human understanding, and like, what is something I could do with this as a career? And advertising made total sense. And so I started my career on the agency side, and I'll tell you what I learned being on the agency side was invaluable, because just the customer service aspect, it's something that's followed me my entire career. I mean, just making people feel important and making them, feel like they can trust you and rely on you is something that I had amazing mentors, and just being on the client service side was essential to my everyday job. So I think that's carried over and will continue to carry for the rest of my life. On the CPG side, like I said, I'd always had the plan. I want to do agencies, and then I want to go work for a huge brand. And, I'm a Walmart kid. I grew up in Bentonville. My mom worked for Walmart for a very, very long time. And I always knew in my heart, like I wanted to end up, it's just in my blood. It's part of what I know. It's just, I've got, actually over here, my mom's like old Walmart vest from when she retired. So it's just in my DNA. I knew I wanted to eventually end up at a retailer. So when I went to Kellogg's, man, it honestly changed my life in so many different ways. Kellogg's, obviously huge, one of the most recognizable brands in the world, incredible company, incredible people. I honestly learned how to run a business there. I learned, I finished my MBA when I was there. I, learned the P&L. I really learned how to manage a brand and learned how to run a business, which is something that on the agency side, you can't really do. You can't dig into that side of it. You don't understand the supply chain. You don't understand, the brand management. You don't understand shopper marketing. It's just, there's so many pieces to it that unless you are actually hands-on keyboard owning it, you can't understand. The move to Walmart was a very tough decision in the sense of I was really at my stride at Kellogg's. It was it was awful. I cried for 2 weeks, but man, what an incredible time to be here. And, just the opportunity to come help shape this and to help build this. And this was even before COVID. So I just started in February. I couldn't say no. So it's each experience has been completely different. And I will tell you the thing I'm learning here, my first, it's just been 10 months, is just the organizational impact you can have when you just really care about something and believe in something and build the story and bring people together. You can really do a lot. So it's been an incredible ride, and I feel like I'm just getting started. So I'm excited.
Whitney, correct me if I'm wrong, but advertising, isn't that just the psychology of selling?
Touche. No, it totally is. That's kind of like the ultimate funny joke. It's like, so instead of like writing prescriptions, I'm writing prescriptions via email. It's all psychology, right?
Yeah. For most of my friends, the no-go decision when it came to medical school was organic chemistry. So
I actually loved organic. I love chemistry. I'm a huge science and tech nerd. So I loved it. It just, for me, I don't know. I just, I couldn't quite get there in my mind to go through. I got accepted into med school, but alas, here I am, wouldn't trade it for the world.
I think you've done great. In any event, you mentioned that you started with Walmart right before the pandemic, and unusual to what you would expect from someone who's involved with the media group, you're actually in Bentonville, and you referenced that earlier. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of being around the people, being near the merchants, versus how it was more traditionally structured, and how that way of working has transformed because of the pandemic, and what you've all done to kind of compensate for that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, originally this role was slated to be out in California. And, I talked him into putting it here in Bentonville because I knew, and I still believe this, and I've seen the success in it. You have to have your hand on the pulse of what's going on down here. There's something in Bentonville for all of you guys on the phone. I'm sure most of you have, if you're watching this, have been down to Bentonville. There's something about the energy and the people and there's just a pulse here that it's important to understand. And if you, it's a small, I almost said city, it's a small town. And, there's a lot of connection that is necessary in order to move fast, in order to really have acceleration. You guys all know this. I mean, it's been challenging, and COVID is going to somewhat contradict what I'm about to say, but there's just so much more that you can do when you shake someone's hand in person and you look them in the eye, and you're just able to affect so much more, I believe. Now, again, like I said, this COVID somewhat contradicted me here because we've been forced to do that. The business is still accelerating. Like WMG is still way over delivering on forecast. Walmart is still crushing it. We've made it through COVID. So there's something to say about the resilience of people. But for this role, having an understanding and knowing how Bentonville works as an ecosystem is critical for success. I could not do it if I did not understand that, because it adds a credibility. It adds a credibility to the conversations, and it just helps us move faster.
So, Whitney, if I thought about helps us move faster, one of the areas where clearly we're seeing acceleration in the space is merchandising. So with the new One Walmart, where the merchandiser for many categories and subcategories now is this one and same, whether it be the e-commerce, aka digital aspects, or the in-store aspects. This is a fast-moving space we are observing at Walmart. So where does this go forward? Like, do we expect One Walmart to be the front, right and center of JBPs? Is it all about the shopper who's browsing digitally anyway on the Walmart app or on the Walmart.com platform via desktop or mobile, and spends most of the time in a digital fashion anyway? And is this the future when JBPs, the discussion now shifts to true omnichannel?
Yeah, I will say, and again, everybody who's watching this probably works with Walmart and our wonderful merchants. If you haven't seen it, you are going to see it it's happening. That was the intention and the move of creating one omni, organization. And with the movement of WMG being integrated into our teams and the work that everybody is doing with omni integration, that is definitely going to be the future, and is already in most cases across the board and has been for probably over the last 8 weeks or so. So I think the way that traditional JVPs are happened is going to evolve very quickly into new partnerships that are completely focused on customer experience, regardless of channel.
Whitney, you mentioned coming from a brand background, you left Kellogg's to join Walmart. When you're at a brand, your primary focus is equity building.
Mm-hmm.
How has your experience been in shifting to a retailer focus? What are you more focused on when you're working with media and omni-channel retail?
So I will tell you, and this is an important designation too, I am, unlike my partners that work in WMG and are actually sellers, I'm not a practitioner in my current role. I act as a consultant, and in a lot of ways, when it comes to how we're thinking about building full spectrum plans. It's really interesting. It's almost like being on the agency side where you're working with different, because I work across all the business units. So, how we build integrated planning for, electronics and toys is very different for how you build, an integrated plan for, let's say, cold cereal. So it's very interesting how in so many ways I'm a consultant in this sense. I think that having that background of knowing how to do that has been invaluable, because a lot of folks, it's just not there's not a lot of people on the merchant side or on the WFG side that have had that experience. So it's fun. I'm very much a consultant in a lot of ways.
Whitney, what I hear you say is you're an internal consultant within the retailer at this stage. But part of your training, of course, has been brands, and you come from the agency side by your early training in your career. Do you miss working with brands? Do you get to touch and work with brands? Are you the internal consultant, which is coaching WMG and the merchandiser on brands? Like, how do you stay connected with CPG brands? And if not, do you really miss it? Are you touching campaigns? Are you looking at data? Like, what's going on in Whitney's mind when it comes to CPG brands and WMG?
That's a really good question. So I do interact with some of our top partners from as I mentioned earlier, it's taking effort across the entire ecosystem. We can't build this alone. We have to have those partners to give us feedback, to tell us when we didn't hit the mark, to tell us when we did hit the mark. I mean, it's, like any relationship, it's two ways. So I do interact with a few of our brands from, again, it's funny. It's like Whitney is Switzerland, because I want to and need to hear the feedback, because it helps make my strategy and my thinking better. But I've had to early on, and it was funny the first couple of months. It was hard for me to turn off the practitioner switch, because I was so used to, building this. And in my old role, Kellogg's worked across with all the retail media networks, and that was my everyday life, was building all this stuff. So it can be very, very challenging, but I've now switched off my brain to where, I am successful when, honestly, this is going to sound hokey, whenever the ROI is great, the customer experience is awesome, the merchants are happy, the advertiser, has great ROI. Like that for me, being in the background and helping, I don't want to use the word craft, but helping on the back end of that has been something I honestly have never done in my career. I've always wanted to be up in the front and trying new things and being the face of stuff. And this role has taught me that I can have actually even more impact not doing that. So it's a new challenge, and I love it. It's fun.
Wow, Whitney, this is very helpful, and thank you for giving us a peek inside of the incredible transformation that's going on at Walmart. I think, having come from a brand background myself, going to work on the retail side has always had a bit of a bum rap. I think you've helped change some of that. What advice would you give to one of your former fellow colleagues on the brand side about exploring opportunities on the retail side, and particularly around Walmart in this incredible transformative time?
Oh my gosh. I say I can't. This is like when I I have something to say when I can't actually formulate the words to say it.
Yeah.
What an and I said it at the very start of this conversation. What an incredible time to be a part of, and part of this industry. I mean, I think it doesn't matter if you're, working at Walmart or you're working at any of our competitors, just working in retail during this time. This is stuff, again, they're going to be writing case studies about at HBS for years to come. It's just an incredible place to work. Walmart is. I absolutely it's one of those places truly. And I've had, obviously growing up here and having my mom, be a part of the Walmart family for a long time. I always heard people say, like, you can do anything you want at Walmart. And just like, yeah, okay, sure. But now that I've been in here, if you have passion and you work hard, I have never seen a company that will, award you for doing that. And so, I can think of 10 people right now off the top of my head that they have just crushed it at Walmart because they just care. They care about themselves. They care about people. They care about relationships. They care about, working hard and being a good person. And, and I think that's something that, yeah. So I will say, and I think that attitude is changing. I think over the last 5 years, I don't speak specifically about Walmart. Walmart always had the rap of being like, oh, not as great benefits. You can make more money being on the supplier side. You can, Walmart's got this and that's wrong with it. But I will tell you, I can't say enough about how incredible this company is. And I think, again, if you're ever, nervous about making that jump, having retail experience, there's things that you learn on this side that are invaluable.
So for all our listeners, today was a peek under the tent at some of the rapid transformation that's already taking place at Walmart towards the omnichannel shopper and the one Walmart and the rapid ascent of the Walmart Media Group and its role in a product advertising period, as well as getting an understanding of this unique role that, Whitney, you are playing at Walmart, which is shepherding the faster penetration of brands via Walmart Media on the various Walmart platforms, whether mobile, social, or in an advertising ecosystem on the Walmart.com ecosystem period. So thank you for coming on board and giving us a peek under the tent. But first, I'd like to remind all our listeners, you can find all our content on CPGGUYS.com. This again, October 2020. This is the last episode of a series that featured female leaders from consumer goods and retailers like Whitney, coming from Walmart itself. And for every download of an episode this month, Peter and I will donate $1 a download of the podcast, up to $250 an episode, to the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Awareness Fund. So please do empty out our bank accounts when it comes to those downloads. And this is also the month that we put out a series on profit, where we covered everything in e-commerce, from media and how it impacts your P&L, D2C, what to think of when it comes to P&L, as well as how to orchestrate a pro forma P&L and what line item should you be comparing at the customer level so that your Amazon P&L, when compared to the rest of it, is an apples to apples comparison. So just a reminder that last episode will go out this Friday, October 30th. That said, as always, to my guest host and my partner in crime on this journey, who I accidentally just called a guest host, my co-host, Mr. Peter Bond. It's been a pleasure, as always, having you on the show and doing this with you. And I hope you feel the same way.
Well, I did until you told me I was only a guest host. Now I've got a question. Now I'm getting nervous. Am I going to get cut if I made the audition? I don't know. Thank you, Shri. It's wonderful. A couple things I want to make mention of. In each podcast episode, whether you listen to it in audio format or you watch it on YouTube, we have notes inside of that, and we have links to things, and we'll publish like the CPG Guys link and others. So I'd encourage people to check that out. It's got all the questions we covered. And also, you and I are going to be introducing a new IGTV series on Instagram. We've come up with questions from our audience that they've wanted to have answered, and we're going to do them one at a time and bring them to our audience. So if this is also a very transparent effort to drive all of our audience over to Instagram and follow CPG Guys. So if you go look at CPG Guys, we're going to have a lot of content. But back to the podcast notes, one of the things I want to include in that is actually where people can learn more about Walmart Media Group. Whitney, where should people interested in learning more and working with Walmart Media Group go to do this?
Yeah, so everybody should head over to walmartmedia.com. There you can find out, actually, we just relaunched awesome new website. So take a look. Any questions, comments for me, hit me up on LinkedIn. Always open for a conversation. Thank you, Whitney.
Whitney, we can't thank you enough for joining us today and again sharing your insights on what's going on with WMG and the very unique role that you have, which we, Peter and I personally see as a great effort by Walmart to really make a leaps and bounds stride in media, in the landscape of media overall and marketing mix. To all our listeners, I want to say thank you to you for week over week, episode after episode, listening to us. And very soon, I think Peter may actually end up renaming us to the Insta CPG Guys with his new announcement on the Instagram IGTV series coming up. So the way that's going to work is one a day, every weekday, short 5-minute or less videos. And you'll see it starting early November, the first weekday in November, which I think happens to be November 2nd, day before the elections. Hey guys, we also want to remind you, if you haven't done so already, it's your civic duty to vote. So please do keep that in mind as November 3rd, Tuesday comes along. With that, signing off are your favorite podcast hosts, Mr. Bond and Mr. Shri, and bye to Whitney.
Go Dodgers.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.